live? Okay. And we are live, and we have our superstars here at Star East 2023. The show doesn't stop. We still can get you more awesome people. And speaking of awesome people, I have today with us Boris Rubel. Did I say it right? Rubel?
That's fine.
Rubel? Uh, Pronunciation from Austria. It's kind of difficult. The I still haven't.
It's also difficult for Austrian, so that's fine.
Okay. So, Boris, tell us a little bit about you. What do you do? What are you up to? What's the deal with you?
So in the last 15 years, I do test automation. So I started as a developer and then slipped into test automation, and since then I'm really dedicated to that.
And to test automation, what have you
Yes.
been doing around test automation?
Yeah, in the beginning I started with some commercial tools like a WinRunner and all the other stuffs. And the last 9 years, I'm really into Selenium
Good.
and do a lot of projects with that. Also do trainings. Yeah,
That's good. WinRunner. You played with WinRunner?
yeah, it's really old tool. It doesn't exist
Trust
anymore.
me, I know. So we've been around for a while.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 15 years ago.
Maybe
Yeah, that's
more.
right.
I stopped counting
No,
it.
I think it's 15. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for me. We are dating ourselves here, like saying, please don't count years. No, we are all young at heart here. So, what is this? Is your first Star East?
Yes, it's my first Star East conference.
Yeah, and you're liking it?
Yes,
It's
I
a
enjoyed
blast,
it.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Lots of learning, experience, and great talks and sessions, right?
Yeah.
Quick question: were you here since Monday?
Sorry?
Were you here since Monday?
Yeah.
Did you go to any tutorials?
No.
So just to the talks?
Yes, exactly.
Which ones were your favorite talks or that you attended?
So I don't want to choose one.
The favorites.
Yeah, the favorite. So I think the topics, many talks were about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and I think this is one of the most important topics right now. And
It's the
yeah,
rage.
I enjoyed all of them, including the panel discussion with Tarek.
Uh-huh. Oh, you were in the
Yeah,
audience?
yeah.
Okay. That was
Yeah,
a
I
good
saw
panel,
you
right?
in the front where you.
We were there at the corner, just
Yeah.
like having everything ready. But so, first of all, do you live here in the States?
No, I live in Austria,
Mm-hmm.
in Vienna.
So you flew up, flew here up from there directly just for this?
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And what made you kind of decide to come and start?
Yeah, because my talk got accepted and I had a talk on Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
and this was the main reason to come here.
I was wondering if you were gonna say that yours was your favorite talk of of the conference, but you didn't. Why it is not? I was like, but to not to spoil too much, what was the title of your talk?
My talk was about integrating accessibility testing into your test automation.
Which I remember every morning at the beginning of each day of the conference. I go through all the talks and everyone, and I remember accessibility on your talk. And I think it was the only one talking about accessibility,
As a,
maybe another one, but I'm almost sure that it was, at
Yeah,
least yesterday,
I think so.
it was yours.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that there's almost people don't forget about accessibility, right?
Yeah, so after my talk, there was a discussion about that, and most of the people told me that in the US it does not have the same importance than in Europe, especially in Austria or within the European Union. There's a law that websites from specific companies have to be accessible. And yeah, I actually working for a governmental project, and of course we have to
Comply.
ensure that our website or our products have meet the levels, the accessibility levels.
Wow. So this is pretty amazing. I'm not surprised that in Austria, and I mean also European Union decisions to kind of support and be with assure that all the sites are accessible to all people, right?
Should
It's
be, yeah.
big priorities. But so before we move on, can you share or spoil a little bit what was your talk about? What topics were you touching on it?
Yeah.
What were you teaching the people?
Yeah. So I didn't invented the wheel new. So I just used open source libraries and integrated in a test automation, and just showed the way how easily that is possible. And I think with the effort is minimal to do is for if you have a running test automation. And yeah, this was my talk about the journey, how I did that, and what's important, and what are the pitfalls.
Any key recommendation for the audience around that?
Um, yeah, if it's really easy, just Google, and maybe you find the X library, which is from techuniversity.com. It's a company or organization which is really into the accessibility, and yeah, they have on GitHub their own free open source library, and it's easy to use with Selenium, for example.
And what does the library does? I'm curious.
Oh, it's very easy. You just put it in with a dependency to your project, maybe,
Hmm.
and then you can check every page very easily. Just say check this page, and then you get possible issues back. And then, yeah, of course, you have to do something to report, to make a adorable report that your developers can easily fix the problems. And yeah, you also get links for broken rules and how to fix it. So it's a quite nice library.
I wasn't aware of it. It's really good to know that there are out there some of these tools. I mean, a library is a tool that we can use to
Of course.
improve our software, and that it would swipe all of our solution, figuring out if there are
Yeah,
any.
but you all the time you have to mention that automatic check maybe does not find every problem, of course, and that was also a topic of my talk. But you get a good start. You have a good basic check, and in most cases, when the library finds some issues, then you take a second look at it, and then you maybe find also some other issues. And yeah, especially for screen reader, it's hard to do that automatically, to do the check automatically.
Why? What challenges do you find then?
How do you check your screen reader? Maybe you need an AI for that.
Do you know? I mean, now that AI is a rage right
Yeah,
now and the X library, do you know any intersections to be aided and be helped?
actually, I'm not into that topic as much
Hmm.
as would like. And then I don't know if there is an AI who checks also the screen reader.
That
Um,
would be interesting because I do agree with you. There's always a step where human beings need to be involved. Some things that won't be detected by automated tools. We have to do regression cycles and do it again and make sure that everything is caught up. And I'm curious, out of these detections that when you use this extension and you check, what are the most common findings? What are the mistakes
in
people do?
most of the times, just developers missed um some attributes, or misused some of the attributes, especially the area labels. Sometimes they mixed up the IDs or didn't follow the structure, like on bullet point lists, or does not use the headers right, because there's some rules. And the X library got updated every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So also the rules are changing, and yeah, you has been always be up to date for that.
That's really interesting because yes, we keep finding new possible areas of improvement in terms of accessibility, and at the same time, probably our browsers keep getting new versions, updates to the HTML engines that we have. The same browser version gets upgraded, and they sometimes decide like an HTML instruction acts slightly different now, or from one browser to the other. I have, yeah, we all have experienced that. Poor Internet Explorer could never keep up, and it's interesting that you mention all these changes, all these constant iterations, because and the most common mistakes, these tags, these headers that are missing that developers forget. Why
Yeah,
do they
also
matter?
the rule changes sometimes. So um, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago we mentioned that yeah, we used an label or an attribute for an element, which is now within new rules that not longer possible or break one of the rule.
Hmm. Yeah, because some of those changes will override or make it
Yeah,
different, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Wow. But going back to what you mentioned with some of the labels, the tags, and headers in the code, why does it matter? How does it affect accessibility?
I think it's difficult for people um, with no issues to interact with websites because you and we can see the web page, and for people who are maybe blind or doesn't see very well, it's very important that all these rules are satisfied because maybe they cannot interact with the website, cannot buy products or use that website or use that service, and yeah, that's hard for them and not fair.
It's hard from, as you mentioned, we have all of our capability senses, and
Yeah,
we don't have any. Well, I think we all have some sort of extent, some limitations, but
but did you ever use the website without your screen, just from hearing?
that's what I was gonna get to. Because at some points in my life, I wonder, like, if I lose my eyesight, probably I'm done, because I don't know how. If I lose my fingers, I won't be able to develop, uh, and so many other things that we are so used to that we don't even think about them being something important, super dependent. And on that time that I started to think about that, I started to like, how do people use computers? If bad example, but I am a superhero fan, Marvel, blah blah. How does Daredevil uses a cell phone? He's blind.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
screens.
very good question. And last November, I think, or October, I was on a conference. It was exactly, oh, no, not exactly, but the topic was similar,
Uh huh.
but it was in German. And I had 2 or 3 blind people in the audience. And it was
Oh
for
wow.
me very interesting because of the questions. And afterwards, he showed me how to interact with his cell phone. So his cell phone, his screen were always black, and just swiping in different directions. And
Haptic.
yeah, also haptic. So because of yeah, if you navigate through the different interaction points on the website, he got a feedback from the phone and also of the screen reader. And it was for me quite interesting how they work with the phone. And yeah, it's absolutely a different way to do that.
I'm totally amazed, because that with the cell phone, I got curious with browsers, how people with some impairments would be able to um, interact with them without being able, as you were saying, a blog post. If I cannot see, how am I gonna be able to kind of know what the blog post says, reads? It's not that I saw some prototypes that would pop up braille or braille reading on
Yeah,
a cell phone that were
yeah.
a peculiar screen, but most of the cell phones do not have it. And as you say, if the header is not good, if the tags are not good, there are automatic reading functions in our browsers.
And the thing is also that, especially for the headers, maybe you have a special styling where you change a font size or the font color. So for you, it seems like, oh, this header is more important than the other one.
Uh-huh.
But if the tag behind that is not the correct order, then for a blind people will looks very different.
Sounds very
Oh,
different.
sounds
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
yeah.
it does. No, no, I'm not correcting you. I'm just thinking
Yeah,
on ways to kind of pose this because silly analogy, but in web page the design, a common mistake is to put the CSS at the bottom, and that's when you have these pages that pop up ugly, and after a little bit they become pretty,
yeah,
but you already try to click on stuff. And it got me wondering if someone decides like the accessible header, yeah, it doesn't matter, we're gonna put it at the bottom. I My question is like, is it read at the very end? If you want to know the title of the blog that you are listening to in the through the reader, and at the very end you finally hear the title, like, okay, that's not
yeah.
fair.
Or for example, if you use the H tag, the H123, which is have an order, and maybe you only use the 3 1, and for the first big header you just use a normal HTML
Whoa.
tag, then it's also misordered for maybe for blind people.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, there are some things that sadly I've never thought about and
Yeah,
how to deal, because
I
I
think
had.
it's difficult if you're not into that topic. Then yeah, because you see the website on another way, you interact completely different.
You're bringing so many things. I hope that people listening are kind of starting to think of these limitations and how important is it. And I think, as you very well said, here in the US, in Mexico as well, I'm almost sure we don't pay that much attention into this area of QA accessibility. I was gonna say that some of us always have impairments. I personally suffer it sometimes. I have some problems. I am partially colorblind. So there are colors that I would be on a website and I'm like, click on the bad example. This is not what I have, the type of color blindness I have. Green button. And I'm like, oh, they both look green. Uh oh, I don't know what to do.
Okay,
For
yeah.
a long time, I swore that K6's logo was blue. And no, it's purple. Uh oh. So it's an interesting situation where gladly I'll give you my experience. I have this eye drop for colors tool when I'm doing the sign or I need to get the good right color, and you just have the hexadecimal, and you can, oh, that doesn't read blue anymore. I cannot see it blue, but doesn't read blue, and it's something that you start to get used to checking and using, but most of the rest of the people don't have to.
That's also what I mentioned in the
Really?
last month, that very often the contrast between the font color and the background does not meet the requirements, and that's what the automation could be easily detect,
Mm-hmm.
just the contrast between these both colors that should be high enough for, yeah, for people to read it easily.
It's and even here's another how to say challenge that I have, because I'm not sure if that has a name. I am writing a document. When you were saying colors, fonts, or if a text starts with one font and there's another font underneath, and they are similar enough, there's no way I'm gonna notice.
Mhm.
They yeah, all the text is good. And I remember some time ago, a friend from afar, like 5 meters away or 10 feet away, hey, you have different fonts there. Like, how can you tell? Like, I'm right here and I don't see any difference. And detecting that, let's say if I am the tester and I have to detect that, and I am challenged as well to detect those type of things, how am I going to test it? And I would say the rest of the people that are used to that, that are not challenged to that, it will be invisible,
Mhm.
and they are challenged to detect it. Ironically, right? So I don't know. It's really interesting, and thought provoking what you are bringing up. What other challenges you find with organizations, like to convince them? Because if it's not because of the government, European Union, how can you convince people? Have you had those struggles? Like, hey, this is important.
Actually, not, because I'm working for a governmental company, and yeah, it was very easy. We said, okay, we have to fit that level double A, and that's the rule, and that's it. And now they say, okay, Boris proved that if we meet that level.
It's interesting because here that's a challenge. It's not mandatory. It's not part of regulation, and
And maybe some addition. So we started right now with a new project, and we're using some UI libraries from Google, and these libraries already fits that accessibility. So it's now very easy when you start from scratch to fulfill all the rules. Makes it more easy.
it sounds like with this library, are you familiar with observability in software?
No.
So it's a principles that will let you see what is the quality, what are the metrics, measurements of your software without testing it. There's a software that will pop up like, hey, you have this amount of RAM consumed here, it's slow here.
Okay.
And it sounds like this extension is enabling a little bit of observability for accessibility,
Mm.
which I think it's really awesome that it gives you a scan of your whole software and lets you figure out if things are going well or not, or what is happening. And it's really interesting to think about it. And of think about it, I'm curious, what made you think about this as a starting point? Because of it's a requirement and your office requested, or how's the story that you ended up caring for usability?
Yeah, I think 2 years from now ago, yeah, one guy who paid attention that left the team, and yeah, since then, I'm more
Boris, your
into
turn. Go.
now. Maybe not everybody knows, in Chrome or Chromium, there is a built-in tool to check accessibility in the development tools. It's very easy to use, and yeah, after I've checked with the plugin, it's called Lighthouse. I thought, okay, come on, if it's built in browser, it must be very easy to automate that. And yeah, this was the starting point where I did that automation also for accessibility testing.
You started caring about it. I raised my eyebrows because I'm familiar with Lighthouse.
Yeah,
I use it somewhat
yeah, they have different checks also for speed
for
and
performance.
resources. Yeah, exactly. And
Uh,
one of the options is the accessibility.
I had no idea. It's now I'm gonna go and start playing with it right away, and it's really interesting because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of material, I'm sure, that you were able to learn from. What sources would you recommend the audience to go and check if they are interested into having the capability to check their software for accessibility?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, the Tech University website is, I think, one of the best stories,
Best
which I
sources.
would recommend, because they have all the rule sets also from history. So the old rule sets with all the rules and explanations why this rule is important. And in most of the time, they also offer solutions how you have to change your code to fulfill that rule. So it's a
Take a look.
great starting point.
Sounds like a very good starting point. Uh, if anyone watching us wants to reach out to you and find out more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so
It's
I think this is
Boris
the
Bruvel,
yeah, exactly,
Wrubel.
exactly.
Got it.
Wow.
Reach out to him. And last closing words. Uh, für unsere Freunde in Österreich. Möchtest du etwas sagen?
Schöne Grüße aus dem sonnigen Florida.
Ah, excellent. Das war perfekt. Entschuldigen, schlecht Deutsch, aber ein bisschen Deutsch.
Ich, ich bin beeindruckt.
Oh, ja, danke. Ich hoffe. Okay, in English now. Thank you very much, Boris, to coming a little bit to share this very important topic that is not, you were, I think, the only one talking about observability in the conference. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned. We are not done. We are on fire today, one after the other. Boris, thank you very much. And everyone, see you in a moment. We are going to have more surprises. I think Julius next, and he sounded super excited to come and share with us. With that, stream out, and we'll